What up, people? Welcome to a special edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best in the world at what he does. And I know y'all probably wondering, like, darn, every time I click on here, it's always a special edition this, special edition this, special edition this, special edition that. What's so special about this particular edition? Are you live? No. Is it your birthday? No. Did the Knicks win the championship? No. So what's so special? It's my sixth anniversary. It's my sixth anniversary episode. It's my sixth anniversary of me being in this podcasting game. I started on June 6th, 2019, was my first official episode. First official podcast episode. It went by a different name. Still Salty Thoughts, the whole nine. But yeah, that's what this episode's about. We'll get into the festivities later on because I've been doing the analytics, and I do not want to drive a certain part of my viewership away with all the. Even though I know that's what y'all come for. Y'all come for them. Anyway, no, we have a lot on deck. I'm going to try not to make this a marathon edition, but yeah, it's not going to be. It's going to be way more than a sprinkle of salt, more like a pour, more like a dousing, if you will. Dousing. Anyway, so what we have on deck is this. R-Truth, Ron, the Truth Killings, made his return this past weekend at WWE Money in the Bank, the PLE offering for this week. At this point, you can't even say this month, for this week. So yeah, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding that. A lot of speculation on whether or not it's a work. And if it wasn't a work, what happened? If it was a work, how dare they? And more specifically, what I think is telltale signs that the heat is getting to Paul Triple H Levesque. Yeah, that mother effer is in his feelings. And I got a lot to say about that. So I will be talking about the return of Ron, the Truth Killings. Or possible, maybe it wasn't a return. Because technically, he was still under contract. But we'll get to that later. Yeah. So that's topic number one. Topic number two will be the WWE Money in the Bank PLE itself. I will give a quick review because, yeah, was it noteworthy? Yeah, because the Money in the Bank. Was it newsworthy? Stands the return of R-Truth? I don't know. In some cases, some people can make the case that the return of R-Truth at the end of the program, at the end of the event, kind of saved this PLE from being somewhat lackluster, which is an ongoing theme since Elimination Chamber. Pretty much Elimination Chamber was the last PLE that we actually had some type of oomph to. You know, everybody knows about the catastrophe of WrestleMania 41 and them going back to Vegas. But yeah. Then I will do something I haven't done in probably about 7 months. I'll actually be talking about a little bit of politics. Yeah, I'll be touching that third rail because I got a lot of thoughts on the NYC, New York City mayoral race. The NYC mayoral Democratic primary is coming up, I believe, on the 24th of June. And being the fact that I am the end all and be all of all political talk in NYC, why would I not give my salty thoughts on the candidates and what I think is coming in the future? And last but not least, there would be a hodgepodge, if you will, a myriad of, dare I say, some sensitive topics. It's been a long time since I delved deep in the crevices of this couch to come up with some borderline crass topics. And best believe I got a whole smorgasbord of topics that would be a little bit squeamish to some. Yes, squeamish to some. And maybe not for the prudish.
Things that make you blush, but trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude, it's a prude awakening.
I swear that used to be one of my favorite shows, Prude Awakening. Hopefully we will be making a return soon. I kind of got the behind the scenes scoops, but I am not privy to let the masses know. So shoot, since they're not using that.
Things that make you blush, but trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude, it's a prude awakening.
Shoot, I'm gonna get my use out of this shit. So yeah, I'm not gonna really hijack like, you know, salty trap tales, but I think that it's so apropos for the two topics that I have on hand that I'm going to talk about in depth here today on a full-fledged episode of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast. So being the fact I'm about 6.5 minutes into the intro, I might as well get this show up, and away. Without further ado, good night and goodbye.
A total reinvention. The soul is still here, but the vibe's a little different. Unpredictable, hide the kids and the women. Sports of all sorts, music mixed for living. Rep New York City, but hate the politician. Always bring the heat, Steph bacon in the kitchen. Big shout to y'all, I appreciate the listen. Donnie put the rest, but I'm still in the best. In the world of what I do, all y'all know the rest. I live it, I breathe it, I'm the whole definition. The pinnacle, the ultimate, I'm on a new mission. The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, the best in the world at what he does. Tap in.
This past Saturday night, Ron, the Truth Killings, made his triumphant return to the WWE screen after a tumultuous 8 days, to say the least. A weekend prior, R-Truth came out with a statement, came out with a tweet stating that he had been released from WWE after 17 years of service, and he'd like to thank the fans, his co-workers, his friends, his compadres, the whole nine, and WWE themselves for the great times that was had in the last 17 years. Continuous 17 years. Do you know that R-Truth first appeared on a WWF screen? Yeah, that's right. He was part of the company before they got the F out. He was part of the company during the Attitude Era. He had a tag team with Road Dogg. He went under the moniker K-Quick. He had a theme song, Get Rowdy. Get rowdy. Before he left, I believe in 2002. In 2003, he made, matter of fact, in 2002, he made his TNA Total Non-Stop Action debut and was one of the first NWA World Champions. And matter of fact, he was the first African-American NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He made history. He was a militant. Ron, the Truth Killings. He had a memorable run in TNA before WWE start calling. And of course, ever the showman say, you know what? Yeah, I'll go back. I think I proved my worth. I got y'all groveling on your hands and knees for the boy to come back. Come back. And there he worked, like I said, continuously for 17 years up until last weekend, when they informed him that they wasn't really releasing him, but they were not going to renew his contract that was coming up pretty soon, maybe within the next couple weeks. Him, along with Carlito, were told that they were not being brought back. And there was a lot of outrage in the IWC. There was a lot of outrage right here on the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. There was a lot of outrage amongst his co-workers, amongst his peers, amongst the company. Not only for the way, not only for the fact that it was it was done, but for the way it was done. So we had a lot of, we want truth, we want truth, we want truth chants last week at various WWE events. WWE Raw on Netflix, WWE Friday Night SmackDown, even at Worlds Collide, and in the early portion of WWE Money in the Bank, until R-Truth came out during the main event to exact his revenge on the one and only piece of shit, John Cena. But look on the screen. Does that man look like a man that's to be played with? Does that man look like the normal jovial, some would say juvenile acting R-Truth? Or does that man look like the man himself, Ron the Truth Killings? Literally, Ron's Killings is his real name. Real name, no gimmicks. And dare I say, it's fitting. Look at that man. Does he look like a killer, right? No stereotype. Just saying. Looked like he was about his business. Now, various reports came out as soon as it was happening of, well, is it a work? Is it a shoot? Did they bring him back? Or was this a plan all along? Well, according to various sources, PW Insider and Fightful Select, I will read the articles that were given, and I'll give you my 2 cents. The bridge to R-Truth making a surprise appearance at Money in the Bank and signing a new WWE contract was apparently WWE President Nick Khan. That's very important. That's a very important part of this story. WWE President Nick Khan was the bridge to bring R-Truth back, according to report out of Fightful Select. I continue. Following last Sunday's news that he would not be returning to WWE, there was a public backlash on social media, chants during Raw and SmackDown, and several WWE wrestlers airing their grief or their grievances on social media that Truth would not be coming back. The outlet reported that they were told that it was a talent relations employee who initially gave Truth the news rather than a higher up, which only added to the situation given that he had been there for so long. So it was a talent relations employee rather than a higher up, rather than someone say, who actually kind of named the era after himself, the Paul Triple H Levesque era. Remember all the pomp and circumstance last year at WrestleMania 40? It was a coming out party at WrestleMania 40, right? Because everything you see on that screen, everything you see in propaganda, everything you see in media is all for the mind of Paul Triple H Levesque, right? I mean, he tells you himself numerous times, month after month after month. Every press conference. There's not a fucking camera 15 minutes and 20 seconds before my first F-bomb. There isn't a fucking camera that he's in front of that he will not remind you that all of this is from the mind of Paul Triple H Levesque. But he couldn't even pick up the phone to let this loyal, long tenured employee let them know that, you know what, listen, we couldn't come to terms on this contract, you know, so we're gonna choose to part ways. He couldn't even pick up the phone and do that, right? But matter of fact, how about this? How about being man? He's in a gorilla position every fucking week, right? You know, he makes sure do you really think that this is like some type of new thing that, you know, they gotta have the wrestler being followed from the parking lot, from the locker room, through the gorilla position into the arena just for the focus on the wrestler? No, he wants everybody to know that, yeah, he's the wizard behind the fucking curtain. So you mean to tell me in his last appearance, last Friday night on SmackDown, a loss against JC Mateo, you know, tomato, Hakuna Matata, the whole nine? You mean to tell me that Friday he didn't know Sunday Truth was going to get a phone call? You mean to tell me after everything, after the smoke is done, after the smoke has cleared, that he couldn't take R-Truth to the side? I'm like, listen, I know that's not really part of my duties per se, because I'm not into contract negotiations, but listen, we haven't been able to come out, and, you know, I just wanted to, you know, let you know that, you know, man to man, you know, I appreciate your 17 years and so forth. No. I swear, he's more like the Vince McMahon than y'all think. Listen. It was JR that like me. The fuck? It was JR that didn't like me. Vince, nah. If Vince didn't want me fired, nah, it was Bruce that didn't like me. Nah, Vince was like a father to me. Fuck out of here. Anyway, I continue. They stated that Truth ignored WWE's attempts to talk during the week until Khan himself took the lead to work out a new contract with both sides meeting halfway. No details were provided on the length of the deal or if Paul Triple H Levesque was involved at all. No, he wasn't involved at all. Why would he be? You know, he probably looked at Truth that, you know, he's expendable. You know, they want me to, all right, they told me I got to cut 3 talents. Hughes. Carlito, he don't need it. Flick him away. Okay, thank you. Look, listen, we paid you 2 years to play PS3, PS5s in the back and eat apples and look at apple bottoms. You'll be all right. Sarah Logan, yeah, well, you got 2 kids. You popped out 2 kids. You wasn't really gonna come back anyway, and you know your husband's still on the payroll, so it's not like I'm really cutting out some bread from you. You know, you can go. R-Truth. You know, he got a little recording career. You know, he's been here 17 years. I'm quite sure he stacked his money. You know, we can get rid of him. I mean, it was actually very shocking when I heard, I don't know how true this is, but when I heard that R-Truth was only making maybe about $350,000 per year, guaranteed. Look, I'm not saying he should have been making millions, but 350, damn. Shoot, probably some NXT talent probably make more than that. And you choose to cut Ron the True Killer. Now I've always been under the philosophy that, you know, fair or foul, right or wrong, people get fired every day, B. But usually it should be handled with some tact. It should be handled with some class. It should be handled with some professionality, if you will. But Paul Triple H, whether he was involved at all, of course he wasn't. I continue. It's also unknown who made the decision not to bring Truth back to begin with, and what specifically made them reverse course. Well, everything revolves around Mr. Levesque, right? It's not like anybody's coming from above him, supposedly, to say, yo, I want him gone. So that means it's up to, isn't he the Lord of Creative? Right? He's the head of creative, right? Meaning everything on that screen, because he makes sure that at the end of every show, executive producer, Paul Fitting, Lee Fitting, Paul Levesque. Lee Fitting with the shots, Paul Levesque with the mind. So whose decision would it be if it wasn't his? Do you think The Rock just came in and swooped in, as he's known to do, and just say, you know what? I haven't been here since Elimination Chamber, but I want R-Truth out of here. Bye-bye. No. So take responsibility for your actions. That's my whole thing. Take responsibility for your actions. What made them reverse course? The public backlash. Not only from the fan base, but through the industry itself. That you could not find a person that had any type of negative thought, any type of negative say, any type of negative word about Ron, the Truth, killings. Matter of fact, scratch all that. Nobody had anything negative to say about Ron killings. He's been there from generation to generation to generation. 17 years. He probably knows all about the skeletons. He carved his niche for himself and always made sure that others were joyous. He gave joy. He spread joy, spread love at the Brooklyn way. And Ron Killings ain't from Brooklyn, but that's how he did. That was his mentality. So of course, when this happened, it was like a powder keg that was unnecessarily ignited. Now, the last part of this article is Truth's surprise appearance came in the main event as he laid out John Cena, clearing the way for Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso to pick up the win over Cena and Logan Paul. New merchandise focused on Ron Killings was then released shortly thereafter. PW Insider reported Saturday night that something had changed in the prior 72 hours as Truth was already getting inquiries from several organizations about doing business. So, okay. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to put together the pieces of the puzzle. He already started getting inquiries. Now, I'm not saying that he was going to go to AEW, going to go to TNA, that he was going to go anywhere, but he was getting inquiries from several organizations about doing business. So that means he would still be in the public eye, but someplace else, while you're getting all the residual effect, the residual venom from casting him out in an unspectacular manner. If you wasn't so callous, if you wasn't so arrogant, Triple H, you probably would have been able to allow him to be released or contract not renewed, and there wouldn't have been no type of outrage. You knew this was coming. You write him into a storyline since you're so creative. You have it like lose or leave town, or if Ron Cena loses, then not only does he have to give up the name, but he has to leave WWE, and he runs up on top. Main events. Even so, even with that, you could have him come and have his last hurrah at Money in the Bank to cost John Cena the match in this tag team match, which I'll get to in a very few minutes. Makes no anyway, right? Could have did that. Did they do that? No. You had him go out, even though he was showing a little spunk. You have him go out on his back against JC Matado, Akuna Matata, the whole nine. Yeah. Is that a self-inflicted wound? Yes, it is. There was now one last thing before I move on to the actual event that nobody's really talking about, because, like I said, it was kind of uneventful, to tell you the truth, except for Naomi. Who's to say? Nobody knows about the length. They say he signed a new contract. Was it maybe just an extension? It could be as simple as they extended him a couple months to tie up the loose strings, to kind of quell the outrage, write him in a big time or a top level storyline to officially write him out instead of writing him out unceremoniously. That's what I personally think. With the open ending of, okay, we're gonna, you're a top merch seller. We're gonna push this merch. We're gonna give you this. We're gonna give you this serious push for these couple months. We're gonna give you some bread, and if anything, when you do leave, it's gonna be a little quieter than it was this time. That's the plan. He's going along with it for now. But when he goes online, and more importantly, when his son goes online and calls Cap, and for all our old heads out here, Cap means liar, 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 pants on fire. That still shows there's some residual animosity brewing from, all right, listen, y'all showed me I'm not family. All right, this is a business. I'm a businessman. Look, I'm 53 years old. I'm a grown-ass man. And I'm not coming back on my knees. So we're going to do business. But if I did get it misconstrued that we rocked a certain way, guess what? Noted. Noted. So soon come. What's going to happen tonight on Raw? I'm quite sure they're going to do something. John Cena's supposed to appear tonight on Raw. I mean, I swear, I can't. Can December hurry up? Can John Cena get the fuck up out of here? I am sick and tired. Sick and tired of John effing Cena on my screen. Shoot. Looking like this. Soon come. Money in the Bank recap. The women's Money in the Bank contract match, ladder match, led off the PLE, and the participants was Naomi, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, and Alexa Bliss. The match was okay. Match was okay. It wasn't one of those shipwrecks, train wrecks that we're accustomed to, especially last year. Last year's was off the hook. This one was kind of mundane. You know, it was the storyline was the vets, Naomi, Bliss, Ripley, versus the up and comers. Well, to the main roster, Julia, Roxanne, Stephanie, and I think it would have maybe played off better. First and foremost, I am glad. I'm so happy, and I actually got damn near emotional when Naomi took the briefcase off the hook and became Mrs. Money in the Bank. She returned early 2024 during the Royal Rumble after a spectacular run in TNA, after leaving the company with Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné, in a creative dispute. So for her to come back to the company and for her to be such an integral part, especially last year in the Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair program, with her included, because she was actually an integral part in that, in the feud against Jade Cargill, and to actually have Jade Cargill's first singles match at WrestleMania be against Naomi, and for Naomi to turn heel, and this heel run is so successful as of now, even though I still think they can give her more. But Naomi's such a Trinity, is such a nice woman, you know, just a pleasant woman, that a lot of people probably thought that the heel persona wouldn't work. Well, she has a chip on her shoulder to prove everyone wrong. Proceed with caution. But as for the match itself, I think it would have been better served if they would have allowed Roxanne and Julia specifically to have more success on the main roster, since they've been, well, not officially called up, but since they've been appearing since post WrestleMania, instead of constantly being on their back, especially Roxanne Perez. Like, they touted, yeah, she's had a big 2024. You know, she's the longest. She lasted in. She has the record for longevity in the Royal Rumble. Okay, she was in the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, and then what? And then she was off main TV, main event, main roster TV. Leading up to WrestleMania, she went back down to NXT. She wasn't even on Stand and Deliver. She was on the pre-show. And then they brought her up post WrestleMania. We have Julia, who came in with much fanfare in NXT, skyrocketed to the NXT Women's Championship, then lost in a title versus title match against Stephanie Vicaire. Then she was quote unquote injured, came back for Stand and Deliver in a 4-way, and then just kind of quietly disappeared. Quietly got shown out the door, came up, and she's been okay, you know, but she hasn't really, her personality hasn't really shown through. Stephanie Vicaire, dare I say, they're working her like a fucking immigrant. I know that's not the most PC thing to say, but I said it. She wrestled 3 matches in 24 hours. While some would say, yeah, such a workhorse. Okay. So others would say, look, she hungry. She want that spot. She want that number 1 spot. The number 1 spot. Yeah. But you gave her 3 opportunities to get injured. And I'm quite sure y'all are about to hitch the wagon to Stephanie Vicaire's wagon. That devil's kiss on the ladder. Ah, 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 ah. thing of beauty. But it's not even about paying dues. Do y'all have anybody else wrestling 3 times in 24 hours? 4 times in a week? Like we're back in the 80s? Doing 300 shots a month, 300 shots a year? There's only so many bumps in one bump card. And these are not extremely physical matches, but a bump is a bump is a bump. And if you want literally to be able to cash in on this cash cow, should I go there? Should I go there? On this cash, if you will, you have to be very wary of the bump card. Now, that's probably why she didn't do anything insane in the ladder match. And probably a lot of people didn't do anything insane in the ladder match, but I don't know. I think this was a once in a lifetime situation of, okay, you had when worlds collide, you had everything centered in California, 3 consecutive nights, and then you're probably gonna have her on Raw tonight. Like, is she gonna be Miss Queen of the Ring? Is she gonna be in a tournament? I don't think she can be in a tournament and not win. Was that match against Io Sky just a taste of what we're gonna get at SummerSlam? I don't know, because now they have this Queen of the Ring tournament for the right to face the champion at SummerSlam. But then you got Naomi. Naomi's gonna be the wild card leading up to SummerSlam, and I swear it's 100% probability that so far that the women cash in successfully. Y'all thought the backlash for R-Truth was bad? Imagine the backlash if Naomi becomes the first female to fail to cash in the Miss Money in the Bank contract. But yeah, like I said, decent match. Rhea did her Roman sleeping at the Royal Rumble spot. I'm glad she didn't win. I'm so tired of Rhea Ripley. I am. She didn't need it. And like I said, Julia, Roxanne, and Stephanie did well. Dirty Dominic Mysterio had a match, and he beat Octagon Jr. to retain the Intercontinental Championship in a match that was set up earlier that day at the Worlds Collide show, right across the parking lot at the Kia Forum. That's all need to be said about that one. Then we had Becky Lynch defeating Lyra Valkyria to become the new WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion in a pretty damn good match. Was it better than the Backlash match? To me, it was, because I didn't watch the Backlash match. I watched this on delay, but I was successfully, I successfully dodged any spoilers to me, and I was able to watch this like an hour behind. And yeah, it was a good match. It was a good match, and for the storyline to continue, Becky had to win. Lyra had a good initial run as a champion. She had a 6 to 7 month run as champion. Now she can chase the title. Now this also opens the door, hopefully, for the long absent Bayley to come back in the picture, seeking her revenge, because guess what? Not only did you take me out prior to WrestleMania, now you have a gold trinket that I have yet to hold. And the story becomes a 3-way. And it brings some credence, it brings some credibility to the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So for as much as Lyra has accomplished, unfortunately, sometimes you need that alley-oop. And this has brought Lyra more into the public spotlight. And by extension, has brought that championship into the public spotlight, which was the plan all along. Somehow, some way, over the last 6 months, they haven't done a damn thing with the Women's Intercontinental Championship up until this feud with Becky Lynch. Now, I got a couple of one-liners that I got to get off my chest. Becky beats Bird Lady. Big booty broads bumping butts. That's my ode to big sweaty men bumping meat. Big booty broads bumping butts. Speaking of bumping, Lyra bumps / sells her ass off. Some of those bumps that she takes, especially when she takes those DDTs and she stands on top of her head, it's scary. She's probably not gonna have a lot of longevity if she continues taking bumps like that, but she bumps like a freaking maniac, and I love it. But also, one last thought on this. They left that match with Lyra beating Becky Lynch up after Becky insisted that she raised her hand, not just one time, but to all 4 sides of the arena, and then put the strap on her, which I think was a double entendre for straps. But I digress. Men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Seth Rollins becomes a 2-time Money in the Bank winner, defeating the field of L.A. Knight, Andrade, Silencio. No, Andrade El Idolo? No, it's Andrade Silencio. Cayete. Meaning, ain't nobody cheering for Andrade. I'm sorry. It's bad. It's bad. Maybe he should just hang it up. Maybe he should bring the suspenders back. You know, Andrade Cien Almas. Yeah, maybe he should bring that back. Anyway. Who else was in this match? Damn it. Solo Sikoa. Yeah, Solo Sikoa. Yeah, Solo had his comeuppance. Damn. See how much I forgot? Oh, yeah. El Grande Americano. Yeah, El Grande Americano. Had a couple great spots. One in which he walked up the ladder into the ring, then walked up to another ladder, then springboarded, or should I say, used that ladder to get to the main ladder to climb up and almost win the contract. Damn. Who else was in here? So you had Seth, you had El Grande, you had Andrade, you had Solo, you had Seth, you had LA Knight. Okay, I guess I got all 6. Now, I got a couple thoughts on this match. And I got a couple thoughts on the faction itself headed by Paul Heyman with Braun Breaker and Big Bronson Reed. Is Seth afraid that he will not be over without his song? It's a good question. He's turned heel. He has Heyman. And he has changed absolutely positively nothing. He has a faction with Braun and Bronson. And he still gets cheered because he hasn't even changed his music. He hasn't changed his character. He's still just as weird. He's still a visionary, a revolutionary. He still hates Punk, CM Punk. He still hates Roman Reigns. But think about it. He's not really threatening. Is he? Like his persona, his persona himself. Is he threatening? Is he interesting? You know what this reminds me of? Remember when he became the Messiah? Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah. And he talked like this every week because he has a vision for, he is the Monday Night Messiah. And remember when he had AOP at his beck and call with Buddy Murphy? Doesn't Braun Breaker and Big Bronson Reed from afar look like AOP? Because they dress just like that? Is he rehashing that? Because that shit was trash back then. Like every week it was Seth, AOP, and Buddy Murphy versus Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. This was like in the 2019, beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic. What about Seth Rollins' character is interesting? It's giving boring. So I might as well let the cat out the bag, at least to my thoughts, because this will probably be coming out right around the beginning of Raw. So I'm quite sure people probably won't see this until after Raw. I predict the following. Either, well, Seth was always going to win this briefcase. There was nobody else to win the briefcase. Seth was going to win the briefcase because it pushes the story forward. But also, Seth wins the briefcase. They have this match with Jey Uso versus Gunther in their return match from WrestleMania. Jey Uso has been getting beat up week after week after week after week. Gunther has been raiding. Has Gunther even wrestled since WrestleMania? Think about it. Has he? Once, twice, 3 times a lady? And he's even told Jay, "You doing stupid shit. I know I'm going to beat you because what you're doing is not the place for a world champion. You're making it easy for me." So either Seth involves himself, costs Gunther the championship by either cashing in during the match or cashing in immediately after the match because he'll get Gunther disqualified, have his 2 goons, because trust and believe, Gunther's turning face by the end of this year. Have his 2 goons take Gunther out and leave Jay prone for a cash-in. That's option number 1. Option number 2, do that same thing, but be foiled at the last moment by either CM Punk or Sami Zayn or a combination of both. And then we truly have some mystery about who is actually going to take the championship off of Jey Uso. Does Sami take it off of Jey? Does Sami win the King of the Ring? Do you know that the finals of the King of the Ring are in Saudi Arabia at Night of Champions? Due to just the geographic story, Sami winning the King of the Ring tournament at Night of Champions to go on to SummerSlam to face Jey Uso for the championship in a face versus face. You have 2 nights of SummerSlam this year. That sounds like a plan. That sounds like a plan. Because I don't believe right now the story is Jay and Sami. That's where the story is heading. And you don't have that story unless Jay still has the championship. The story is Punk, Rollins, and Roman. That's going into SummerSlam. The match for SummerSlam will probably be Steph versus Roman. Where does that leave Punk? I don't know. Do they run it back with the triple threat? Why not? I think that's where they're going. Now, some of these notes from the match, like I said, which is crazy. Wade Barrett stating that he knows the difference between Chad Gable and Grande Americano because their nipples are different. Was hilarious and creepy and troublesome. That would be like me saying, you know what? I know the difference between Zelina Vega and Alexis Bliss because the way their nipples stick out. That wouldn't be nice, now would it? Well, technically that wouldn't be nice because that means I'd really be looking at the nipples through the anyway. But yeah, that was hilarious. Solo Sikoa has elevated his charismatic level to the nth degree from where he was last year. To me, they waited too long to let him be himself. The fucking goof. In a good way. And he's also a Uso brother. He's funny. He's naturally funny. So I really think that if they would have allowed him to show his personality last year, maybe he would have gotten over to a better degree. Especially because you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Roman. When Roman started loosening up a little bit. He doesn't have the callousness of Roman. Roman knew how to snap into vicious mode, but you know, when Roman had that cockiness, just talking shit, that's what he reminded me of. Jacob Fatu helped Solo. So let me get this straight. Jacob Fatu helped Solo take out the faction of Seth Rollins just to screw him at the end. I mean, I get it, but that's a lot of work to do just to screw him at the end. And me personally, I think if they would have held that off to a SmackDown show promo segment of Fatu finally saying, "I hate you, Solo," it would have got over more than during all the chaos of the Money in the Bank, where you could hardly pick up the fact that matter of fact, he didn't say "I hate you, Solo." He just said "I hate you." Because remember, he got over by saying, "I love you, Solo." Yeah, so I think they dropped the ball on that one. But yeah, so it was, like I said, it was a good match. It was a good match. Predictable, yeah, but if everything I just laid out comes to fruition, it makes total sense. Total sense. Don't you know these greedy motherfuckers are going back to Vegas for Mania once again next year? And it'll be in the middle of April once again next year. Will it be on Easter weekend again? Huh? Will it be? Hopefully not. But I really think they are. You know, they canceled the prior plans of WrestleMania being in New Orleans to go back to Vegas. So what? So what? Now, last but not least, let's get this over with. Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes in his first match since WrestleMania, since getting screwed out the title in WrestleMania, defeated the team of Logan Paul and John Cena in the main event. Now, let me ask you this one big question. Oh, yeah, by the way, with the help of R-Truth. So Cody Rhodes's triumphant return and him pinning John Cena wasn't through his own merits. It was based on R-Truth softening up John Cena for Cody Rhodes to hit the crossroads for him to pin John Cena. Not only that, I'm sorry. Let me get this straight. So Cody Rhodes got screwed out of his championship, got screwed and humiliated at WrestleMania. And the first thing he wanted upon his return was not revenge, was not a one-on-one match, but a tag team match against Cena. That's the first thing he wanted. And then when he finally got his hands on John Cena in the ring after a couple minutes of bait and switch, the first thing he does is a headlock. I swear, if I didn't know any better, I would think this was a all-out mission to screw, to sabotage, legitimately, Cody Rhodes. This time, you just don't have The Rock to blame. Now, Cody, I guess, will be back on SmackDown. And what's now? Now he can claim victory against John Cena and say, I pinned you with my title match. But once again, okay. How does he get this title match? We have 2 events before SummerSlam. We have Night of Champions, and we have Saturday Night Main Event in Texas. Well, no, in Atlanta. I don't think that's going to be the place for Cody to get his rematch. Do they run it back at Saudi Arabia and then hold off until SummerSlam? To me, the first and the next time that they need to go face off has to be in SummerSlam. We gotta get this title off of John Cena. Does Cody win at Saudi Arabia, in Saudi Arabia? And then he defends again against Cena at SummerSlam. I think the umph is off that if once Cody gets it, the umph is off the run. Will it be a catalyst for John Cena to turn face? Will R-Truth, will Ron Killings have something to say? In this match? Don't know. But yeah. Money in the Bank. I guess if I have to rate it on a 1 to 5 salt shaker scale, I would give it 3.5 salt shakers. I'll tell you the truth. 3 salt shakers. 3 salt shakers. Now I'm going to give my quick thoughts on this year's New York City mayoral race. On your screen is former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is the front runner so far in this race, the Democratic nominee, because our current mayor, Mayor Benson, aka Mayor Eric Adams, is running as a registered independent, so he would not have to worry about not even reaching the general election, because 9 times out of 10, either he would be battered and bruised coming out of the Democratic primary, or he probably would not even win the Democratic primary. So he is running as an independent, so that kind of gives him carte blanche and a free road to the general election this coming November. Now, we have a lot of candidates when it comes to the Democratic side. Where should I begin? Where should I begin? Okay, let's start with this guy. Matter of fact, since I'm on him, okay. The former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, hails from Queens, New York, and is making a comeback bid for mayor. Facing a slew of scandals, he resigned in 2021 after serving for 10 years. He is described by many as a arrogant son of a bitch. He is described by many as a conservative Democrat, and he is accused by many as having blood on his hands during COVID, especially during COVID, for housing many of the New York State seniors and not segregating them to protect them from COVID, but actually allowing COVID patients to be housed in senior activities, therefore tripling or doubling certain casualties. Now, my 2 cents is this. Matter of fact, I'll give my 2 cents when I finish the rundown. Next, ZOHRAN MAMDANI, a Queens State Assembly member representing Astoria and Ditmars / Steinway since 2021. MAMDANI is a Democratic Socialist originally from Uganda. Oh, word. So he must be familiar with Kamala. Kamala, you the Ugandan giant. But he's originally from Uganda. You know, he must be from the side that doesn't get a lot of sun. And he was raised on the Upper West Side. I swear, I'm full of shit. I mean, listen, I still wish I had the photo on hand right now. You have Kamala, you're the Ugandan giant. And if people remember how Kamala looked in his shade, and then you have ZOHRAN, originally from Uganda, man, shoot. It's a difference between night and day, literally. Total eclipse of the heart. I digress. MAMDANI, he has also pledged to freeze rent in his ads. Actually, that's all he says in his ads is, I'm going to freeze rent. I'm going to freeze rent. I'm going to freeze your rent. I'm going to make sure that your rent gets frozen. I am going to freeze your rent. That's all the fuck he says in his ads. So, guess what? You don't mess with the ZOHRAN. You don't mess with the ZOHRAN. I swear, if this would have been his ad, he probably would have, well, listen, tell you the truth, he is second amongst the candidates, and he's rapidly approaching and nipping at the heels of Andrew Cuomo. But if that would have been his ad, I'm quite sure he would be far and away the front runner.
Well, it was very cool.
I swear, I'm only putting that part because I ain't gonna mess around and get a copyright strike. You know, sure. I think it was like a couple seconds, so maybe I could get away with it. But yeah, don't mess with the ZOHRAN. Don't mess with the ZOHRAN. Don't mess with the ZOHRAN. Next, Michael Blake, a reverend from South Bronx, 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 South Bronx. Blake served as a state assemblyman from 2015 to 2021 in the Bronx 79th district. He is a progressive Democrat. I repeat, a progressive Democrat. Yes, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Adrian Adams. Adrian Adams. Born and raised in Elmhurst, Queens. Listen, I'm starting to get a little pattern here. There's a lot of Queens heads running for mayor. Where my Brooklynites at? We're Brooklyner. We're Brooklyner. We're Brooklyner. We're Brooklyner. She hails. She hails. She hails. Matter of fact, where the hell does she hail? She hails and represents South Jamaica, Queens. I think so. Isn't that her? Yeah, that's right. So she represents South Jamaica, Queens. Oh, so she on she on 50 time. Well, I don't think I've seen an ad from her. Wouldn't it probably be in her best interest to get some of South Jamaica's finest to stomp the ground for it? Like tell you the truth, this is probably so bad, but this dude right here, don't you know I had volunteers come to my crib yesterday? I had volunteers come to my crib, and damn, I think we ripped it up. But they gave us some paraphernalia for him, because I got some registered Democrats in my house, which I'm not amongst them because I am a registered independent. So I cannot vote until the general election. It's not fair, but anyway, yeah, she's what they describe her as, a progressive Democrat. Then we have Brad Lander, who I don't think I got his. Is that him? I don't know. It might be. If not, so what? Brad Lander, Brooklynite, by the way of St. Louis, the city controller. And to tell you the truth, I don't think that's him. But anyway, the city controller since 2022 in a career poll. Lander is a Brooklynite by the way of St. Louis, and he is a progressive Democrat. Now for the rest of the people who I have no pictures of. Jessica Ramos, born and raised in Elmhurst, Queens. Oh, so she got to be a Mets fan, right? Ramos is a state senator representing the Queens' 13th district since 2019. She is a pro-labor progressive Democrat. Blue-collar hero to the masses. She is not. Well, maybe she is, but I don't think so. Then we have Zelnor Myrie, not to be confused with Kyrie Irving. Zelnor Myrie of Brooklyn. We're Brooklyn at. He right here. We're Brooklyn at. Right here, dog. We're Brooklyn at. Right here, dog. A Brooklyn state senator since 2019, representing the 20th district in Crown Heights. Crown Heights, stand up. Stand the fuck up. Looks like I know where my vote would have gone if I was able to vote. I mean, sure. You got to vote for the world you know to help the world that you know, right? Isn't that how the saying goes? Anyway, Myrie is a native of the borough. That's right, native Brooklynite and a progressive pro-real estate Democrat. Pro-real estate Democrat. So does that mean he's pro-landlord or he's pro-renter? Pro-homeowner or pro-landowner? Interesting. Then we have Whitney Tilson, a former hedge fund manager originally from Connecticut. The Harvard-educated Tilson is a conservative Democrat. She ain't winning. And last but not least, Scott Stringer, the city controller from 2014 to 2022. The longtime Pole was born and raised in Harlem. Really? Wow. I didn't know Stringer got down like that. born and raised in Harlem? Oh, so he a diplomat for real. Okay. Though Stringer ran on a progressive ticket in the 2021 mayoral race, he's a tad more center this go around. So, in other words, he's making adjustments of, well, I tried to go this way. That shit didn't really work out for me. So I'm gonna just like lean, kind of nudge my way back to the center, so I can actually shoot the diamond down. Anyway, now my thoughts center around this guy. Centers around this guy right here. Just so I won't be at the. You know what? Just listen.
Big move, big move, big move, big move. No, that's probably not a popular thing, but just based on the field, yeah, I just feel more confident in him than anybody else in the field. He got warts, but everybody got warts. If you dig deep enough. So yeah, that would be me. He's a big reason on why New York is the way it is and affordable to live. And, another unpopular take. I'll also say this. Yeah, I mean, heel turn, yeah, like I said, unpopular. Trust me, I wasn't the biggest Bloomberg fan, but like I said, whatever we had preceding him makes him look great. See, I can't vote this upcoming primary because I'm a registered independent. So I can't vote until November, which I found out the hard way when I was trying to vote for the Democratic primary for the presidential and so forth. And I relayed that story when it happened, that I was informed I couldn't vote because I have no party designation. But not only that, instead of just explaining it to me like that, they acted like I had leprosy. And, and gave me the look like, oh, you thought you were so smart, huh? You one of those, huh? But, yeah, so I really can't vote until the general election. So, but looking at the candidates, I mean, look, I'm not going Republican, but looking at the candidates, it's like, okay, do I really want while Trump is in office and all the policies that's going on and what have you, it's actually two sides to the coin. One, do I want an inexperienced politician dealing with the matters of New York City while there's a trickle-down effect from Washington? But also, let me continue. But also, we can't get some type of backlash with the whatever feud between CUOMO and Trump, because number one, as mayor of New York City, he has say, but he doesn't have as much power as he had as governor of New York. So I'm quite sure he'll know all the loopholes to get through, and I might be disproven, but looking back at the time of the pandemic, when the first outbreak, and looking back on that time of the initial months of the pandemic, I'm actually very grateful that we did have CUOMO in office and not someone else. Let's say we had CUOMO office and not Hochul, for instance, because while whatever controversy is going on with the with nursing homes and everything, and the investigation they have with that, which is unfortunate, very unfortunate. It wasn't for the lack of trying. And also a lot of things he put in place during that time probably spared more lives than were lost in the long run, not so much the acute time of the initial outbreak.
I said that. I said that a couple of days ago during, you know, our correspondence in our group chat, and I figured it would probably be better for me just to play that than to try to rehash it and not get as detailed as I believe I was with that explanation. So that's my little tidbit on the New York City mayoral race. Because I got to get some jokes in, and even though I got a lot of jokes in at the expense of a lot of these candidates, I got to get some even more jokes in because don't mess with the ZOHRAN. If you think that was a little bit inappropriate, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now, it's going to be a portion of the podcast as we start winding this down that I get to really just let loose with a lot of things that I've kind of strayed from over the last couple months and bring it back to the essence of what the Salty Thoughts podcast has always been about, and that's inappropriate talk. That's off the radar talk, or more succinctly said,
Talking things that make you blush, but trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude, it's a prude awakening.
yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to hijack it, but until they make their return, that's my theme song. That's the theme song I love. Shout out to Mrs. Winchester. Shout out to Miss McDonald. Shout out to Small Town USA. Please check them out on all streaming platforms wherever podcasts are available. They are part of the mighty 19 Media Group. But yeah, in doing some research, preparing for this epic event known as Mike Steph's 6th anniversary, a podcasting episode, this milestone occasion, this, you know, you get the gist. I was reading, and there was an article in the New York Post about a new craze, a new sexual trend that I was unaware of. Why? Because shit, I've been married for 26 years. I've been with my wife for 31 years. Do you think I keep abreast of the new sexual trends? No, I don't. We got 4 kids. Have we got to that stage where we actually got to write on the calendar? It's time for Pound Town? No. Do I give her a little text like, is it on and popping tonight? No. Do I look online and see what the youngins are doing? What the hipsters are doing? How the hipsters are fucking? No, I don't. But I came across this article, and I'm going to read it and give my little 2 cents. This article, like I said, is courtesy of the New York Post, and it goes as follows: shallowing. Yeah, that's right, shallowing. What the fuck? I never knew that was a term, but here we go. Shallowing is a popular sex trend that has taken off and has gotten women off within the last year. Wait until I tell you what shallowing is, and it's just taken off in the last year. I thought this was foreplay. It's nicknamed outer course. Oh, that's so. I swear, that's so I swear, StreamYard, y'all not giving me that much motivation into continuing my $45 a month membership. You know, yeah. Your little graphics, the little pictures and everything. Yeah, that's nice. Is it worth $45 a month? I don't think so. Shit. You know what? I'm not getting off task. Shallowing. That's what we was talking about. We was talking about shallowing. So that's what we're gonna do. Nickname intercourse. Because why isn't it? Because it involves light sexual play at the entrance of the vagina and slightly inside without deeper penetration. Isn't that called edging? Hasn't that been around for years? Isn't that called foreplay? Like, you know what? Here I go. No, you can't touch it. Here I go. Can't touch this. Or more aptly named. Went this dick right. Yeah. How much you want this dick? Went this dick right. Tell me how much you want this dick. Yeah. No, please. Yeah. That's what the fuck shallowing is, right? I'm sorry. I told you I was gonna be crass. Matter of fact, how about this? Parental advisory, explicit content is being said and being described. Parental discretion is advised, but will be completely effing ignored. Okay, you happy about that? See? Yeah, too late now, but I guess that's more of a full throttle, a full thrust instead of showering, right? Because I gave it to you and then I pulled it out and said, wait, I gotta explain this. I gotta let y'all know what I'm talking about. I swear, somebody probably the age of 20, 22 probably came up with this and said, Eureka! I got a new trend. This sexual fun is not just a spicy trend people are partaking in, solo or with the partner. Okay, I go solo. So if it's a female, I get it. You know, you use your apparatus and you mimic strap or what have you. Go get the strap. But for a male, how does that happen? You know what? I'm not doing that. Not doing it. Primo. Okay. A survey has proven it to be pleasurable for most women. Of course it would be. Like, for us, it's just a fucking tease. That matter of fact, shallowing is a tease. That's another term, tease. While some people are having some shallow fun, others are curious about experimenting with different sex positions to spice things up in the bedroom. A team of fetish finder researchers, I guess fetish finder is a app or a website or something like that, looked at Google search patterns to uncover which sexual positions people are most intrigued by. It seems missionary is a snooze fest. Since when? Like, why would that be considered a snooze fest? Like, I feel like looking face to face with the one you care about, with the one you love, overshadows all that. But if it's just wham bam, thank you, ma'am, I can see why. No, I don't need to remember your face. I don't want your face to be all in my nightmares. The demons in your dreams sleep Eat me the demons in your dreams. I don't need that in my head. But it seems missionary is a snooze fest these days because the bear hug position took the cake as the most searched. Bear hug position. Okay. This position involves doing the deed while hugging each other like a bear, standing up. Like I told you it had to be some young shit because I know I'm past the age of trying to exert more energy for less pleasure. Like I'm trying to get optimum pleasure. Or matter of fact, some would say you could call me the Carlito of sex. Get the most bang for your buck. Get the most payment for the least amount of effort. That's cool. This position involves doing the deed while hugging each other like a bear standing up. It certainly caught people's attention because it saw a 623% spike in searches within the last year. Okay. Other highly searched positions included the filthy Sanchez. It's the dirty Sanchez. Not the filthy Sanchez. Get the terminology correct. Dirty Sanchez. Do you know what a dirty Sanchez is? I will tell you. Please cover your ears for a minute. Are your ears covered? Evidently they are because I didn't get a response. A dirty Sanchez is when one sticks his male genitalia into the booty hole and gets some residue on said booty hole and smears it across their partner's upper lip. That, my friends, is a dirty Sanchez, not a filthy Sanchez. There's no such thing as a filthy Sanchez. Fucking Gen Z's, or matter of fact, aren't we past Gen Z? What? We backed up to Gen A? Whatever. Well, it's described here as a filthy Sanchez, which is more on the crude side of things. Crude. Oh yeah, crude is the opposite of prude, as it involves smearing bodily fluids on a person's upper lip. The third most Google search position is the anvil, which requires one partner to lie on their back, legs lifted overhead, while the other person kneels and does what you imagine they do during frisky time. So that's the pogo stick. That's the jackhammer. Oh, y'all thought the jackhammer was just Goldberg? Oh, no. Jackhammer the twat. Shallowing. I swear, when I came across this article, I was like, there's no way in hell I am not including this on my 6th anniversary episode. Why wouldn't I? Well, if y'all thought that was bad, wait until the next topic. OZEMPIC side effects. Another article I came across, courtesy of the New York Post. OZEMPIC side effects. It goes as following. I guess I would entitle this Ozempic dick. Pause. Male Ozempic users say that their penises have gotten bigger since they started injecting the weight loss shot, with dozens of well-endowed fellas flocking to online forums to fawn over their expanded members. I recently measured myself down there and noticed I gained about an inch. An anonymous user recently claimed on Reddit. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, I think people will say it's because of the fat loss. However, at the time I measured myself before, 4 years ago, I was thinner. The man claimed. I also bone pressed during measurement before and also this time. Has anyone else noticed this change in themselves? Yes. Another happy Redditor responded. I gained 1.5 inches in length. No joke. Like you, I obviously know how long I was before I got very fat. Then about 7 months on something, I guess the technical term for Ozempic. In my case, I gained about 1.5 inches in length. Definitely not from all the weight loss. I noticed that happened to me as well. A third man remarked. Yeah, wife has definitely noticed the difference. I was 278 pounds. Now I'm down to under 200 pounds. An additional commenter claimed. Meanwhile, other men have claimed that they've noticed a size difference after taking Ozempic, but put it down to better blood flow and reduce fat around the pubic area. Another Redditor responded saying the size difference was likely due to different external conditions during the before and after measurements. I feel like nobody's really reading what you are writing, but they blame the weight loss while you measured the first time when you were actually lighter. Ozempic does not enlarge your penis, but an erect penis will change size considerably depending on the time of day, temperature, factors, and others other than sexual arousal. So it's probably just as simple as that. Other words, were you rock hard or were you just aroused? That's crazy. Pause. The phenomenon, dubbed as Ozempic penis or Ozempic, that's clever, is just the latest in a series of side effects users of the weight loss drug have allegedly experienced. Ozempic mouth is another recently reported side effect marked by pronounced folds at the corner of the mouth, noticeable wrinkles on the lips, and sagging skin along the lip contours and chin area. Those alarmed by their changed appearance are now turning to cosmetic treatments such as dermal fillers to restore lost volume around the mouth area. You know what this whole, on a serious note, you know what this really speaks to? It speaks to the fact that people are always looking for the quick fix. Listen, I am not the type to look down my nose at others doing other things. Like there's a lot of shit that I used to get down with that I no longer do, and people who still do. I'm like, all right, each your own. You know, that's your twist, fine. That floats your boat, fine. You know, that's not that I don't rock with that. But it's something about not doing the work when it comes to losing weight. Like, all right, listen. Ozempic is specifically made to regulate insulin, or pretty much it's a diabetic drug. It's made for people with diabetes. And the result is you lose weight, you lose fat, you lose appetite, and that helps regulate your insulin, correct? So now there's shortages of Ozempic because you got the motherfuckers who just don't want to do the work. They want to jab themselves to get rid of the fat. I am not one of them. I am one of the people that will go on a 5-mile walk couple of times a week. I am one to go on a marathon session on a treadmill. I am one who will abstain from eating certain shit if it has something to do with my health. I lost 25 pounds in 3 months without any fucking drugs. Was I a little bit OCD when it came to certain things that I knew I couldn't have? Yeah. You know what that's called? Discipline. I had a fatty liver, and guess what? For the last 18 months, I no longer have a fatty liver because I did the fucking work. Meanwhile, you got celebs thinking this is the end thing to do. Yeah, let me just get some Ozempic because I want to eat like a glutton for the during the summer, during the winter, and then in the summertime I don't want to do the work. So therefore, I'm going to start shooting myself in the belly, and that's very, very disrespectful to those who have diabetes and those who have relatives and friends dealing with diabetes. That y'all motherfuckers are hogging up the market because y'all want to do the fucking work. And then now we're going to have a big segment of the male population thinking that jabbing themselves in the stomach is going to make their dick bigger. How about you just do the work? Yeah, when it comes to that too. How about you get yourself a woman who knows how to satisfy you right? And if they know how to satisfy you right, then it really doesn't matter if you gain an extra half an inch. Maybe this is old school, but I always, and tell you the truth, at least for some people, most people, the size of your foot is the size of your dick. If you were blessed with size 12s, if you was blessed with the junior section in your 40s, that's not really a blessing. It's more like a curse, but that's neither here nor there. But all these people actually dick watching, yo, I got an extra 2 inches. How about you? Are y'all the type that goes into the bathroom, into the stall, and then you're like, Ozempic, huh? All right. Ew. Disgusting. Like I said, like my nephew always says, ugh. Disgusting.
We're talking things that make you blush. We're talking things that make you blush. We're talking things that make you blush. But trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude. It's a prude awakening.
Well, people, that brings us to the end of this very special episode of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making me and this here podcast the one y'all have chosen to view and the one y'all have chosen to listen to for over 6 years in different iterations. For all my YouTube viewers right now, you see on the screen my prior logo, the Salty Thoughts of Donnie Ooh. And that's where this podcast all began. Yes. 6 years ago, June 8th, to tell you the truth, 2019 was the first sign that there was going to be such thing as an episode, a Donnie Ooh episode. And yeah, it was one of those things. And it's a little bit, here's a little taste.
Welcome to the preview episode of the Salty Thoughts of Donnie Ooh podcast, featuring the one and only Donnie Ooh. It's the word of what he does. Found out the hard way that the hardest part of starting a podcast is the actual introduction. I'm starting this because I intend on this to be a platform for me to spew my salty thoughts on various topics such as sports, politics, social media, life in general. To give you a little background about myself, I'm a Knicks, Mets, and Jets fan for over 35 years. The agony, the pain, the torture of being a fan of these downtrodden losing teams have really affected my life in various ways. And I felt like I needed a platform so I could vent and rant about it. I've also been a wrestling fan for that span too. So in this preview, I'm going to rant about the Jets' new hire, head coach, Adam Gase. I might sprinkle in a couple thoughts about my Knicks. And unfortunately, the not so amazing Mets. I plan for this layout not to be too complicated. It's probably going to be a little unorthodox in the setup. And hopefully I'll get better with time. But if I'm going to put this out, I need to put it out now while I still got the nerve. So I'm going to leave it off. Or should I say I'm going to lead off with my rant that I recorded maybe about 2 weeks ago when all the hubbub was still going on with Adam Gase and the firing of Mike McCagnon and the beginning of the search of a GM for this wayward franchise of mine, the Jets, Jets. And later on in the week, come out with a more lengthy podcast and touch on more topics. But I need to get my foot wet. So here I go. And I'm just going to dive into the deep end of the pool. So hope you enjoy. I'll speak to you later. Goodbye. Mwah. And good night.
That was my first recording of a podcast. For the first year and a half, matter of fact, probably for the first 2 years, I recorded specifically, matter of fact, only in my car, during my breaks from my shoot job, during my time elongated in the car, so forth. That's the only time I recorded. I didn't record in front of a laptop. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have headphones. Well, I had headphones for this. I didn't have a camera. None of that. To be perfectly blunt, as I put this here, be perfectly blunt, I started this podcast with the audience of one intended, and that was my late brother Rue. A lot of things I said, especially back then, it was like talking to the Ethernet. It was talking to the wilderness, but it was also talking to my brother, my best friend, my compadre, my confidant, without actually being in his presence. So if I looked on the analytics page and I had 4 views back then, I knew exactly who those 4 people were. And I was happy with that. And on numerous occasions, my bro would always tell me when I got frustrated and so forth of saying, like, Tom, why I'm doing this for? I'm not doing it. And he was like, I remember what you told me why you started doing it, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, well, when you feel like you're not doing it for that reason, then you stop. But as long as you feel like that's the reason that you want to continue doing it, then you do so. Anything else comes with the territory. Like, all right, if it pops off, it pops off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because it takes me back to those times where I have 3 plays, 3 listens, 3 downloads, and I knew who those 3 people were. To be candid, I spoke to my therapist the other day about what's going on with the podcast and the numbers and so forth. And I'd really like to give a big shout out and appreciation to all my subscribers, all my newest subscribers that finally got me to the century mark in subscriptions. I really, truly appreciate that. I really do, because I know the way I do it is very unorthodox. And sometimes people probably like, you just talking to air. Yeah. And I'm glad that me talking to air, it floated your way. And you chose to say, you know what, I fuck with dude. You know what, I'm gonna press that button. So like I said, I really appreciate it. I didn't even notice I hit 100 until like yesterday. I was like, oh shit, I hit 100. Oh shoot, it's 3 digits. Listen, I'm the little engine that could. But I say all that to say, I was talking to a therapist about situations or this, and saying that, sometimes it's, look, this is always my heart and joy. And I'll tell y'all this in passing. I'll tell you this in a comedic fashion, but it's definitely true. This is my passion. This is my passion project. It's been 6 years. I haven't made not one red cent off this podcast. I mean, was that planned? No. Would I love to get some bread off this? Yeah, but at the end of the day, it really didn't matter. I entitled the first legit episode the unprofessional debut, because I went into it knowing to be a professional means you get paid, and I'm not getting paid, nor am I looking for it. So it's unprofessional, and I could give me the leeway to do whatever the hell I wanted. Then a couple years later, I think I said the unprofessional return, because I took some time off, came back, voila. But the gist of what I was telling her was that sometimes I get ebbs and flows, or there would be times I would listen back or watch back, and now I record it and just let it go, let it fly. I don't even pay attention to it. I know what I've said. I'll put my little clips out and everything, but I don't obsess over it. And I was wondering why. And then I realized I put 2 and 2 together myself, because my audience of 1 is no longer here in the physical. So a lot of quote unquote inside jokes, nobody would pick up on but him, because it pretty much was like, yeah, I know he was listening, and I know that popped him, because he would know exactly what I'm talking about. Now that's no longer there, which, it's upsetting in its own way. But I know my bro is with me, and I try to do right by him as much as I can. So I say all that to say 6 years. This is the second iteration. So I did what? 4 years. Yeah, what? 20, 21, 22. So yeah, I did 3 years, 3.5 years of the Salty Thoughts of Donnie Ooh. And now I'm on my 3rd season of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the first. But at the same time, this could never have happened if I didn't end the first iteration, if that makes sense. So yeah, so 6 years. Sooner than later, I'll finally make episode 100 of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. Trust me, there's way more than 100 episodes of Mike Steph, but official episodes, this is episode 90. So yeah, so it's gonna be damn near, when that happens, it'll be 250 episodes, official episodes, not sprinkle of salt, whatever, or WrestleMania memories. Which thank you for everybody who's tuned into that. I appreciate y'all. So I'm rambling right now, and I think I'm going to get out while the getting is good. Please check out my bros from Gimmick Infringement, Winchester McDowell. They dropped a new episode earlier today of Gimmick Infringement, recapping Money in the Bank, Against All Odds TNA, in which they actually saw in person, Worlds Collide, so forth. They give their AEW thoughts. They give their Trump and Musk beef thoughts, for lack of a better term. You know, I'll tackle that later because shoot, this summertime I'm gonna have a whole bunch of time on my hands. Next week is Father's Day, or as I affectionately call it, Motherfuckers Day. So, am I going to drop an episode on Motherfuckers Day? No. So y'all get it on Monday, like this one, late Monday afternoon, early Monday evening. I was about to choose to pause this until next week, but I got good news, ladies and gentlemen. I found the dentist, and that's funny on so many levels that I'm not going to get into because I might be self-depreciating, but I'm not giving those trolls that much of a pleasure of even going there. But no, I got a wisdom tooth right here that needs to get pulled. It's been needs to get pulled, and once I get that pulled, then I can kind of put everything together. And I found the dentist that I think I can trust, that my shitty ass insurance covers. So, wish me luck tomorrow. So that's another reason why I might not be sure. I wanted to finish my EP or my mixtape, but fuck it. You know, I ain't getting no traction in that anyway. Oh, one last thing. Please check out my bro from Hidden Gems Football, the Mojo King. Check out his Twitter page, his X page, because he has a track. He has a track out, and it's exquisite. And it's very lyrical, but it's very exquisite. Well, it's not, but it's same thing. Please check it out. You'll be glad you did. And yeah, I think that's it. Y'all gotta get out of here. But appreciate everyone. 6 years. It's gone by quick, and I really can't believe it's been 6 years. So I love each and every one of y'all.
He lied. Y'all niggas worship him. Lied.
Nah, I really do love y'all. You know, and I appreciate y'all for all your support. And until next week.
He lied. Fuck that. Clear, guys. Fuck that. You shut your mouth. Doesn't mean that this shit stops. The right doesn't give a fuck.
Oh, one last thing. For all these fucking Pacers fans in my mentions.
How do you feel about Boston losing? I don't give a fuck. Knicks is 6, pussy. Suck all that shit now. Suck all that shit now. What do you gotta say?